Hi everyone, this is Britt Simon. I thought I'd do a Q&A. It's been a couple of weeks since I did a Q&A, and there are, I'm sure, going to be some questions that you'll have, and many of the questions will be, I don't know. So it's going to be a frustrating Q&A session simply because it's so difficult. Hi V's Belay, how are you? First comment in there. So a few have joined already. So let me just go through a couple of topics that I wanted to cover, and some of you will come back at the beginning. Nikki, how are you? Green card holder. Good to see your face and hear from you. I hope things are going well for you down in LA. So I'm so happy that that people from DV 2020 got through. At least some of them. So let me just quickly, that was my plan actually, to talk about DV 2020 first of all, because I'm sure I'm going to be asked. And Francisco, hi to you. Okay, so DV 2020, the Gomez case. Gomez is the head case, and it includes Acker, Fong Jong, Mohammed, Kennedy. All of those cases are wrapped in under Gomez. Gomez, of course, the Gomez case was the AILA case, AILA case, which is a pro bono case, and in front of Judge Mehta. So we essentially won that case last September. At least for a brief period of time, there was an ability to issue visas. Then there were some visas set aside for later issuance, the possibility of later issuance. The lawyers are still trying to get that number of visas increased, and they're trying to get a final action and decision from Judge Mehta to be able to release and issue the remaining visas, either the 9,095 reserved visas or even more visas than that. We had hoped to get an answer in April. I think it's not going to be April now. I think it's going to be more like May. It could even be June. In theory, Judge Mehta could release a decision at any time. There's no deadline for him to release it. He could release it tomorrow. But at the same time, it's more likely to be, I think, in May or perhaps even June now. The timing of that really doesn't matter. A visa, a green card that you receive in June or July is the same as the green card you receive in April. So really, stop freaking out about the time. It's annoying waiting. I get that, but the time, the delay doesn't mean anything. It doesn't affect anything technically. So and hopefully you should have not taken any actions in your personal lives that that meant that the delay is costing you time or money or whatever in some sort of disruption. So that's really all I wanted to say on DV 2020. For people with visas issued in September, of course, those people are still able to activate their visas right now. Judge Mehta's protection of the additional 6 months is still in place. That's not been renegotiated or changed. People can still activate right now. I wouldn't delay any further if I were you, though. If I were in a position where I was holding on to a visa, even an expired visa, you can use that now. I would go ahead and use that. The COVID position in the USA is getting better in most states. Some states are doing very well. The vaccination program is doing very well in a lot of states. Over 100 million people are vaccinated. And so COVID cases are going down. The economy is beginning to return to normal. There are undoubtedly going to be continued ongoing impacts, but things are getting a little bit better, I would say. Hey Swishy, how you doing? So anyway, that's the situation on DV 2020. Okay, DV 2021. I posted a video yesterday. I couldn't do a live session because of my internet connection, but I posted a live video yesterday in response to the government making all regions current, with the exceptions of Iran, Nepal, and Egypt. First of all, for those three countries, Iran, Nepal, and Egypt, I don't know. I have no idea whether they're going to be current at the end of the year or not. You can come in. So it's really, thank you very much. It's really it's really unguessable at this moment. I'm not predicting anything. If you ask me, will the sun rise tomorrow in relation to DB lottery, I don't know, is the answer. I have no idea what's going to happen next. We're off the charts in terms of being able to predict things, right? If your case number is current, or if it's not current, or if your embassy is going to open, or if your embassy is going to stay open, or if your documents are processed, or if they're not processed. Honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I have no idea, because we're just. I said that we would be in chaos if they made all the regions current. This is part of what I meant. But the reality is that out of 140 odd embassies that are able to interview DV cases, 50 of them have not yet accepted any cases. And some embassies have accepted cases which they'll probably cancel. There's political issues going on in Moscow embassy. There will be political embassy issues going on there. So actually that's going to get worse in Moscow. Embassies in general are not accepting transfers from one country to another. They're prioritizing, if they've got any capacity at all, they're prioritizing cases in their own country in general. So, what will happen is anyone's guess. I have no better guess on that than you have yourself. Okay, so I've been asked a number of times about lawsuits. And I do think that the general answer, or the general question that I get is, will the lawsuit be good for me if I'm a plaintiff on the lawsuit? Yes, is the short answer. So between now and the end of the year, we will see the lawsuits take place. The lawsuits filed by Curtis Morrison, etc., are purely for named plaintiffs. I think the fact that that those lawsuits are out there is helpful for the general perspective, but they're not designed to protect everybody, right? They're designed to protect the named plaintiffs, and Curtis and Raphael's filings have always been like that. They have always been that their job is to work for the named plaintiffs on their lawsuit, and that's it. So while they might make general arguments about the unfairness of the situation, their arguments are honed in a way that is to protect their clients. That's the way they should be working. That's the way they are working. The team of Impact lawyers, IMMPACT, Impact, which is Chuck Kirk, Gress and Aaron Hall, Jeff Joseph, that team, they're filing another lawsuit, or they've just filed a lawsuit called GOH, G-O-H, versus Biden. Again, that lawsuit is about named plaintiffs, but in that lawsuit, they're asking for protection for all of the visas. But again, their main priority is the named plaintiffs. And both the Morrison and the Impact lawsuit, they're both mandamus cases, meaning mandamus means do your job, government official, do your job, right? So they're both intended to get priority for named plaintiffs. Okay, so the short answer is that is what you need at the moment. You need prioritization, you need attention. You need either KCC or the embassy to give you an appointment. If you're in a position where you can sign up for the lawsuits, as you had an opportunity a month ago, then that would be a good thing to do for those of you that can afford to do so. And if you can't afford to do so, okay, then you'll have to sort of take your chances. That's the way that works, right? Both the lawsuits, or both the teams of lawyers, and there may be other lawyers, by the way, that are also filing lawsuits, but honestly, I don't know any other lawyers that really understand this process or have got any sort of track record. So there are a couple of other lawyers that I know of, but I'm not prepared to sort of give them any airtime in terms of recommending their services or their lawsuits or anything else, because I know nothing about their track record, other than they might be opportunistically just sort of loading on to the general litigation world, as it were, in this situation. The situation we've got is very unfair at the moment, and and that's ripe pickings for the lawyers. They can make a lot of money at this. And so there are undoubtedly going to be some other lawyers that will possibly win their cases too. But as I say, I have trust in two sets of lawyers, and I believe those lawyers, frankly, should make a lot of money. Why shouldn't they, right? That's their business, that's their job they're in, they're working hard. So I'm not going to recommend anyone else anyway. But I will. Right now. I'm going to put in two. Have I got them there? Yes, I got two links, which are the links where you can sign up for the waiting lists. I've just put them in the chat right now. So you can sign on to the waiting list if either of those legal teams allow more named plaintiffs to come on to their lawsuits. I think that was always the plan for Curtis Morrison and Raphael Rene, that they would allow more people on. And in the Go lawsuit, which is the impact team, the Greg Siskind link, they have said that they may allow people to join that lawsuit as long as it doesn't slow down the lawsuit for the people that have already signed up. Okay, so you can't join a lawsuit in 4 months' time. If you want to join a lawsuit, get off your ass and do it now. That's what I would say, right? So, that's, I hope that's, I mean, can I be more clear than that? If you want to join a lawsuit and you have the finances, you have the ability to do it, now is your last chance to get on and do that, right? There is a chance, as I mentioned in the Go lawsuit, that they would be able to preserve visas past September 30th, in the same way that visas were preserved by Judge Mehta last year. But we have not seen yet, obviously, the final outcome of that. We've not seen that those visas are guaranteed. We don't know how many could be preserved in DV 2021, or that any will be preserved in DV 2021, or that, technically it's possible to do that extra work either. Okay, so you can gamble on that if you want to, but but understand the risk that you're taking. Okay. Okay, so I think that's covered the lawsuits, and that's covered Periscope filters anything that looks like spam. Try another. Periscope doesn't want to. Okay, so I'm going to put on the YouTube channel, and I'll put something on my blog as well. These links for the for the lawsuits, but they should be in the YouTube chat and in the Facebook chat. Twitter might not show the links that I just put in there. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can take a couple of quick questions. Now, the questions fly by when I'm on this. The system I use amalgamates questions from Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. So you may not see all of the questions I get, but I see them from all these places, and they fly by at times. I lose track of them. So I'm now going to start taking questions. So if you've asked a question before, paste it again now, one time. Don't paste it 58 times. Everybody, including me, gets pissed off with these people that spam the questions. So, if you've got a question that I haven't already answered in what I've just said about DV 2020 and DV 2021 and the lawsuits, and the fact that I don't know when your case will be scheduled, and I don't know if it's going to go current. If you've got other questions, paste them in the chat now, and I'll start to take those. So this is an example of someone who's just asking a question that I just answered, right? So Duran, I just answered that. If lawsuit will help. You can gamble on not being on a lawsuit, and you may get through. Some people will get through. Some people will be issued. There are about 2,500 people have been scheduled for interviews so far. Some of those people will be issued. But if you want to improve your chances of being scheduled for an interview, the lawsuit may help. You can choose not to, though. If you feel that you can't afford it, or you feel it's unfair, or whatever else, that's your choice entirely. Okay. Does Charles Cook go into new file? Yeah, I just covered that. Charles Cook, I did just cover that, right? Is he going to file? Oh, I see what the nuance of your question. Is he going to file a new lawsuit, or is he going to expand the newest one he's filed? Okay, I beg your pardon. So my understanding is that he would expand and add people on to the Go lawsuit. That's my understanding. But he and the team yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, they've said that they will only do that if it can be done without slowing down the existing case. Okay, and Go, by the way, is being given to Judge Mehta. So Judge Mehta has already ruled on this on this subject. I mean, it's obvious the government have continued to work inappropriately. They've not taken steps that they could have taken. They could have been setting up Zoom meetings for interviews. They could have done things. We're a year later after the COVID crisis started, and still the government has not thought of any ideas on how they can operate, these interviews. It's bananas. It's nuts. Right? Every other country, every other company in the world, frankly, has figured out something. They could have done the same thing. So, Kelvin, your sister is in the US studying now. Is she better off doing an adjustment to status? She won't have to go to the embassy. Yes, yes, she is. Now that all regions are current, every person can file adjustment to status if they're legally in the USA and they've been in the USA for at least 90 days. There's a complication. If you enter the USA on some non-immigrant visa, such as a B1, B2, J1, or something like that, if you've entered today, as you enter, you're making a certain commitment or promise that you're not coming with the intention to adjust status to try and stay here. You're making a commitment. You've signed documents that say you're going to return at the end of your visit, the stated visit, right? So if you have intention to adjust status when you enter, that in itself can cause denial. And it's a permanent denial. You can't get over it. It's the end of your green card group, right? You don't want to run that risk if there's any risk that they might think that you entered with the intention to emigrate. So there is a recommended waiting period where if you entered in the last 90 days, you should not file adjustment to status if you're on certain types of visa. And you wait 90 days after entry. Okay, so that's one way you can get around that. And basically what you're saying is, well, during the 90 days, something in your life changed. You realized you couldn't go back. You loved it in America. You fell in love. You like McDonald's restaurants over in America. Whatever the reason, right? Whatever the reason, you now are deciding you need to stay in America. And in the case of your sister, Kelvin, she's got the DV lottery, and so now she wants to process the DV lottery. So assuming she's been here for a little while, she can do it. And it's a complex process. You need to get on with it now if you're going to do that. But it is safer. I would say it's safer than trying to gamble on consular processing. Okay. Okay, Daniel's asking if the embassy started the interview but doesn't progress much. Is the problem at the embassy or the KCC? It's both, really. I explained yesterday. KCC is a single point that all cases have to funnel through. It doesn't matter how much the embassy says we're ready to interview all the people. It doesn't matter if KCC have not processed the people that want to go to interview at that embassy, right? So KCC are a single point of failure, if you like. There's also other single points of failure. It's not just KCC. It's the organization, the part of that does the background checks and that sort of thing. It's also the physicians in the countries where the embassies are. They have limited capacity. They can't suddenly scale up from 20 medicals a month to 500 medicals a month. It can't be done, right? They're just not going to do it. There's usually in most embassies, they've selected or elected one or two physicians in each country to do all of the medical work, and each medical takes a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours or something, plus paperwork. So they're not going to do 500, medical interviews and reports, etc., in a month when they're used to doing 20. So you can't squeeze all of this, stuff into a short amount of time. That's the problem. The embassies also are working on limited staff. So, but I think that, you know, there's impacts both ways, the embassies and KCC. But I think the most impactful is KCC, in my opinion. Okay, so now I've gone and lost my place. Where the hell am I? There we go. Okay, I'm going to try and skip through some questions quickly. Kevin, how are you doing, my friend? Hello, Kevin. Thank you. Do you feel being AOS is the best chance given the circumstances? Yes, just covered that. Yeah. What's the need for the lawsuit, Simon? The need for the lawsuit is, as you're about to see, there's bloody chaos going on. People are not being processed. Their documents are not being processed. People are now current, but they're not going to get interviews. There's only 1,500 cases in the world have been scheduled for interviews. I don't expect we're going to see 5,000 cases, scheduled for interview in the next few days. And there's only 4 months of processing, right? There's June interviews are about to be released. Then we'll have July, August, and September. There's a deadline, 4 months. So that's the need for the lawsuit. The need for the lawsuit for an individual person is to get priority for that person. The need for the lawsuit in the Go case is to try and gain us more time. So that's the need. Terran, should I change my embassy if mine is not processing yet? South Africa. You can try, but it's not, most of the time the embassies have been declining those requests. What about DV 2021 for Nepal? I already said, I have no idea. Britt, can we instruct case? Oh, let me go back to that. I know that Kathmandu embassy has, they've got 17, I think it's 18 cases actually scheduled as of today. One is an OC case. And then 17 Asia region cases, which would probably be Nepal cases. But that's nothing for Kathmandu, right? They're used to scheduling. They do on around about 200 to 250 interviews per month in a normal year. So for them to have scheduled 17 shows their capacity is not up to speed. We'll have to see what they accept for June interviews. But let's say they do normal. Let's say they could even do normal, which is unlikely. So we'd see 1,000 interviews maybe between now and the end of the year, which is going to be, 1,700 people. That's all we'll get. That's not good. Can we instruct KCC to process the documents if I'm a Jacob plaintiff? I've sent them in since November. There should be no obstruction for them to do that. Right, so if you're a low number, Chris, if you're a low number and you sent your documents in November, it's likely that you screwed up your documents, frankly. If you're a high number, they just haven't got them. If the Jacob case achieves some traction, the judge may tell KCC to give a report on each of the named plaintiffs. And they create something like a list or a spreadsheet, and they have the names, and the government has to report. And in the past, that has shown to be effective. It will get some attention to your case, and they'll find your documents. They may contact you to say, send your documents again or whatever. It's not really an instruction, it's more of a sort of an encouragement. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the Jacob case. Okay. Submitted documents on 25th of March, sent 2 emails, got back automatic reply, embassy is fully functioning. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's only 4 weeks ago. Again, it depends on you only sent the documents 4 weeks ago. That's not a long time. But it depends on your case number. I have seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks that very low case numbers have sent their documents, and they've got answers on their documents within about a week or so. Where they're very low case numbers. If you've got a high case number, they're probably not even getting to them yet. They're prioritizing by case number at KCC, even though all case numbers are current now. But is there a way we can push embassies for starting interviews? You can keep encouraging them. But if they believe that they're putting staff in harm's way because of COVID crisis, they're not going to listen to you. It doesn't matter what you say. Okay, so, and I don't blame them for that. I'm not asking anybody to put themselves in front of a speeding truck. My mum died from COVID. People are dying from COVID. 500,000 people in America have died from COVID. 3 million people in the world have died from COVID. I'm not blaming anybody who doesn't want to expose themselves to COVID in a country where perhaps vaccination programs not not in place yet, or the COVID numbers are increasing. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for strangers. I wouldn't blame them at all. As I said, I lost my mum to it. I lost a very good friend to it. My mum was old, but my friend was 60 years old and fit and healthy, died from it in a week. So, Gokana, I sent yesterday documents to KCC for DV 2021. I have both language, Nepali and English writing in my birth certificate, the one I sent already. Do I need to translate only in English? Okay, so the answer to this is English translations are always helpful. It's useful to have an English translation. It helps the staff at KCC understand what the documents are. But if you're interviewing in Kathmandu Embassy and your documents are Nepali documents, then no, you don't need the translations. But if they're the type of documents that are issued sometimes in Europe, my wife's documents, for example, from Spain, had a Spanish document, but it had an English translation part to it automatically. It was just there. So we never needed to translate those because they were automatically in English. They were described in English. So that was useful. Does it matter when you become documentary qualified and your priority date? No, not really, not now. Your priority date for DV cases is essentially your case number. Priority date is a prioritization mechanism. And in the DV world, the prioritization is based on your case number, your rank order as it's described in the law. It's called a rank order, right? It's supposed to go in that rank order. And so no, it doesn't. And now everybody's current, right? Apart from those 3 countries where there's limitations. So now your rank order is unimportant. However, KCC still seem to be processing and will probably continue to process roughly based on the case number. What are your expectations for the next visa bulletin for Egypt? No idea. I've already told you. My parents are illegally living in Canada at the time of my birth. They became citizens after my birth. They're from Portugal. Can I charge to Portugal and Apple apply for a DV visa? You're talking about in the next in the October time. It's a complicated one, right? You can charge to the country of your parents' country of birth if they were in a country temporarily, if they were there, if you can prove that they were there temporarily. The fact that they didn't have a visa, etc., presumably meant they went there in some way temporarily, and so perhaps you can build a case around that. I've written articles about this on my blog. Go check out my blog, read the fact. But basically, yes, you can try that. It's not a guarantee, but I would say you should enter the lottery, charge to Portugal. Your chance of selection is about 1 in 100 years. So if you're selected, then you can worry about it. There's no point worrying about it otherwise, right? Umed, I can't answer a question you don't ask. I'm going through the list here. I already said you have to repeat the question, okay? Happy Moon Dance, Iranian living in Sweden, ready for interview, but US Embassy in Sweden saying they're not processing DV cases till the end of September. Oh, well, that's useful. Well done, Sweden. Okay. Should I ask KCC to change my interview location to closed countries? You can ask. But I mean, obviously, thousands of people are asking the same question at the moment. So, and embassies in general are saying, no, we're not going to take cases from some other country. Let that country sort it out. So you can ask KCC if they'll do that. You can keep contacting Sweden and hope things change. Frankly, saying that they're not going to take DV cases to the end of September is the stupidest thing they've ever said. And I'm surprised that they're being that way. Sweden has done things differently with COVID, so this is the price we're paying, I suppose. So you can ask, do what you can. You may want to consider a lawsuit, because even though the embassies say they're not processing DV cases, they're probably doing other mission critical cases. in that scenario, being on a lawsuit would probably encourage them to accept and interview your case. It's unfair, but that's the way it is. Okay. Based on vaccination progress, what's the problem with consulates? The problem with consulates is they're in countries where there are no vaccinations going on. We're very lucky in America and in the UK. There's massive vaccination programs, but in many other countries, including in Europe, there are countries that have not made anything like enough progress with vaccination programs. And there are other countries where the vaccination generally isn't available. So if you're an American living in, pick your country, any country, and you know that your friends at home are vaccinated, and you're being asked to go into the office and see lots of unvaccinated people, you're going to say, screw that. Why am I going to have to expose myself to getting COVID because these people want a visa? I'm not doing it, right? And they're not going to be forced to do that because their perspective is of an American mindset, and they know that back in home we're doing everything we can to vaccinate 3 and 4 million people a day over here, right? So there's massive vaccination program going on here, and they're not seeing that in their countries, so they're scared, and I don't blame them. What if I join a lawsuit but never get document confirmation? Then you'll never get your visa. Simple as that. However, being on a lawsuit encourages the government to do their job. Not only are they encouraged to do the interview, and the judge will ask for progress on that, but they'll also be looking for your case to process the documents. Back in September, we got the judgment on September the 4th. And at that time, there were people in what I call category 5, people who had not had their documents. And there were some cases where KCC found their documents magically. They've not been able to find their documents throughout the whole year. They've not been able to process the documents, but KCC did find those documents. Or cases, actually, there was at least one case I know of where the case was sent to the embassy, even though the documents were not processed. So, that's why. How much do the lawsuits cost, dear Simon? They're between $1,500 and $2,000. With Curtis Morrison, he takes a small amount of money up front, $500 or $1,000 or something, and then expects the remainder of the payment later on. On the Go lawsuit, I think you pay everything up front, but there's no sort of later payment, but the payment in total is less on the Go lawsuit. Entry, same case number, mine says issued and printed, but my wife says ready. We have the interview the same day. Do you know anything about the situation? Okay, so you've had your interview, DV 2021. As long as your wife attended, she had the interview the same day. Yeah, it's just timing. Don't worry about SEAC. You'll both get your visas. And the fact that hers says ready, yours says issued, is just updating the database, right? Just wait a few days and it'll be fixed. I don't know you get my question, sir. I got this question, but I don't get any other question. Can under 64 get it? Don't know. How long does it take for the final judgment? New Curtis lawsuit? Don't know. What are your expectations for the next visa bulletin? Don't know. I think you already asked that, and I still don't know. If by chance we ask for a transfer of interview to another country, if the embassy is working there versus the country we are living in, it's not processing, should the medical be completed? Oh, okay. The medical is always performed in the country where you interview. So you would have to actually get into that country early enough to have the medical a few days, typically about a week or so before the interview date. You'd wait around for the interview, and don't forget, if you need to go through border controls, it will take you a week or 2 weeks to get your passport back after the interview. So you might have to be in that country for 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so be careful with that. Does it mean all selectees without interview will become random since June? Yeah, there's basically we've got a new lottery now. That's the chaos I'm talking about. There's just no way to predict anything anymore. I sent yesterday documents to KCC for 2021. Yeah, I've already answered that. I forgot to mention country is Lebanon. Okay. from Ghana, but I processed my forms in Dubai. What should I do when I won? Will I go to Ghana? No, when I won. Okay, so you haven't won yet. So if you're selected, I guess you've entered DV 2022. If you're selected, you process your case wherever you live, right? If you're in Dubai, you'll have your interview in Dubai. And that's a good thing, by the way, because in Ghana, roughly 7 out of every 8 cases interviewed gets denied. Think about that. Okay, so your chances are better outside of Ghana. But I would say that the reason those cases get denied in a large majority of cases is because they're fraudulent cases anyway. That's not always the case. I've known good cases be denied in Ghana, in Accra Embassy. But in general, it's because the levels of fraud in Ghana are just way too high. And I've got evidence. I've been looking at that situation for years. So if you're Ghanaian and you're now getting annoyed at Brit Simon because he's saying something disrespectful about Ghana, grow up. That's what I'd say to you. Just grow up. You know damn well. All right. If Go versus Blinken wins, will the KCC prioritize my case, or how does this work? Yeah. So if you're a Go case, I assume you mean Go. If Go wins, or even if they don't win, it's not really a win situation with the mandamus. A win is individual to that case. A win is when they get some activity on your case, right? So the judge will ask for progress reports on a list of cases, all of the cases that are named plaintiffs, and that in itself is helpful because the government will want to show that they're doing what they can do, right? Why is Judge Mehta delaying to take a decision on DV 2020? Who knows? Who cares? I already said it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't make any difference, does it? Why he's delaying? Why? Don't worry about things that mean nothing. You're a plaintiff with a low F5K, but before judgment you scheduled it by your embassy. Well, you go to your. The point is getting the interview. If you get your interview, you say praise the Lord and you get down there. Please, everyone, put thumbs up because the kind of proficient person deserves. Well, thank you, Shaheen. That's kind of you. What's the rough estimate? I think I already answered that. 1,500, 2,000. What is my situation? I love these questions. What is my situation? I don't know. I'll guess. I've got my visa April 3rd, but I couldn't renew it on September because the embassy. So you're waiting for Gomez. So you're DV 2020 and you didn't get your visa reissued. You're waiting for DV 2020 Gomez case outcome, and you may be able to get your visa reissued at that point. Good day. I've received ready to schedule email. Then I had a newborn later and my case number. Do I have to send again my documents? In a normal year, I would say yes, send your documents. In this year, you could just. You don't want to disturb that ready for scheduling thing, right? So, if you get to your interview, you can handle adding the child at that point. It's not ideal. It's complicated. And it needs the embassy to sort of work with you and take pity on you. But you can do it. So it's not what I would normally recommend this year. You probably just leave it alone. My case number is current now for Nepal. Will I get my chance? I don't know. Africa went current. Congratulations to everyone. That's correct, Tom. Applied twice in DV 2020 for DV or 2020 for DV 2022 because I made a mistake in my last name during my first application. Can my application be rejected or not? Oh, I hope so. I hope it will be rejected. Yes, because it's not making because I made a mistake in my last name during my first application. So you just went ahead and entered again. Come on, how silly do you think we are? I'm 2021 from Iran with 55,000, doesn't process my documents. What can I do? So keep pushing KCC, keep asking them, contact them. Are you satisfied with my documents, right? For those of you, by the way, I still get questions. Should I send my documents? Are you kidding me? Send your bloody documents. If you don't send your documents now, you're not going to get an interview, right? Simple as that. You're not going to get your green card. Okay, so people are still asking me after what I've been saying, send your bloody documents for months. Send your bloody documents. For those of you that have sent your documents and you want to find out what's going on with the bloody documents, you need to contact KCC, right? You can email them. If you're lucky, you might be able to get through on the phone, but you ask them if they're satisfied with the documents. Okay. Link for joining the case. I already put it in the chat window. I'll try it again now. There's the links just coming through. What numbers? Will numbers that are current for be guaranteed an interview? No, there's no guarantees anymore. You know, that's what I've been describing here. This is a mess. There's certainly no guarantees. 50 out of 137 embassies have taken 0 interview allocations. Nothing, not one, right? So that's more than a third of the embassies are basically not working. Those that are working, between the remaining 87, they've taken a total of 1,500 cases. It's nothing, 10 cases each, 15 cases each or something. It's nothing. You know, so no, there's no guarantees. Already answered that. Hopeful Go versus Blinken Plaintiff. Good luck, Sana. I hope it works out for you. I sent yesterday documents to KCC. Yesterday. I think I already answered this one, Kakan. Kevin, amazing information on AOS. Do I need to wait till 1st of June? No. It's not volatile, Kevin. The early filing policy is what it's talking about, and the early filing memo is reliable. The only time it's not reliable is when you find out in June you've got the DV and you file in, let's say, August. And technically that should be okay. If you read the memo, it actually makes that specific example very clear in the memo. So it should actually be possible to file prior to the 1st of October each year. Between that period, between August 15th or so, when the VB is released, and October 1st. But I've seen a number of cases rejected during that time period between August and October. And so there's no real need to do that early. So as long as you're filing after 1st of October, which you are, then, and you put that early filing memo on top of your package, which I believe someone's mum on the AOS forum, she recommends, that's what I did, then it's reliable. I wouldn't wait. And you could do with that extra time, right? That extra time is useful in adjustment to status. In my own adjustment to status case, I believe I became current in June. I actually got my green card on September 2nd, right? So it can go down to the wire. Since all the numbers, do you suggest sending the docs again or just wait? AS15K already submitted. I suggest you check on your documents, right, Jundi? Check with KC, ask them if they're satisfied. They should be dealing with these documents now. We'll have to see. What is the risk for AOSs, if any, now that all regions are current? Well, the risk for AOSs is there's not really a risk of visas running out. I mean, that would, in a normal year, that would be the case. But of course, there's no time for the visas to run out. So that risk for AOS is removed, right? In terms of AOS is a relatively slow process, a bit frustrating, but it does work. And so the risks are generally just about timing and that sort of thing, not more than that. And obviously, you've got to make sure that you're legitimately qualified to apply for AOS. You must have a valid status and not have been out of status prior to filing and that sort of thing, right? There's some technicalities like that you have to make sure you follow. How does the chaos you say apply to AOS people? Yeah, I think I just covered that. Jesper, you're asking the same sort of question. Is there any strategy KCC embassies are going to? I don't know what strategy they have. I have no idea. No, there's no strategy. It's just chaos. Kelvin, question about studying sister. She's been there 2 years. That's positive. Yeah, get on with AOS. She should be going to the forums.immigration.com site, forums.immigration.com. Look up the DV 2021 sub forum, and in the very first post of that particular forum, the first post of that thread rather, there's a link to a spreadsheet that has all the information you could possibly want about adjustment of status for DV related cases. There's the user called Someone's Mum, who is an absolute expert in DV cases. She's been doing it for a number of years. She doesn't charge any fees. She should do, frankly. She's better than most lawyers. And she's compiled a very good spreadsheet of information for people that want to do adjustment of status with DV lottery cases. Okay, so definitely want to go there. Forums.immigration.com. Okay. You're from Georgia, filed AOS in the US. You did your biometric, waiting for interview. KCC hasn't sent you this, my file. Yeah, that's fine. My H1B is up, so no salary, no insurance. What do you? Oh, okay, no salary, no insurance. Oh, that sucks, Maya. I don't know. Singing? Can you? Busking? Yeah, I mean, what a nightmare. You can prod KCC, right? So normally what happens is when you get at a certain point, the field office will say, we've asked KCC for your file and KCC haven't sent it. More often than not, I find the field office is lying. KCC, would send the file if they were asked. More often than not, the field office is not. They have to press a button, and that's all they have to do, and then KCC respond instantly. But you can contact KCC and see if they've been asked, and then just follow up with the field office. It's a bit frustrating. There used to be a way that you could contact the field office, but go to that forum that I just mentioned and get a little bit of help from Someone's Mum on that position where it will work out in the end. It's just, I can imagine you're in difficult spot right now. So just keep your expenses as low as possible, move in with a friend, couch surf or whatever. You'll get there in the end, and the challenges you're going through now will be worth it in the end. Good luck, Maya. You've reached out to your senator. Yeah, good idea. Icarus. Please someone check it. I check it. It shows that my case number is a whole. What does that mean? It means you made a mistake. Means you didn't follow the instructions. I was about to swear on camera, wasn't I? Belfast. So it means that you left your zeros, the leading zeros in your case number. So follow the instructions and take out the leading zeros. Right, that's what you should do, or just go directly to SEAC and check there. My case number around AS 1200. When do I expect? No idea. What about DV 2020? Already answered that at the beginning of the video, Jacob. Jakub. You're welcome, Maya. It's been 5 months. I received email. My case number is So the at MVC thing seems to confuse people. The at MVC status is no status at all. It's the starting point that every case is at the beginning. It's like being on the go, when you're playing Monopoly and you're at go and you haven't started the game yet. That's where it is, right? It means nothing. Just ignore it for a DV case. So what you need to do is figure out. You say you got the doc received email. Doc received, that's the automatic email. Doc processed is what you want. Ready for scheduling is what you want. So contact KCC and ask them if they've finished with your documents. Gokana, I think that's about the third time I've read that question, Gokana. All right. Oh god, I just scrolled past a bunch of questions here. Oh man, sorry. I just lost a thing. Carlito Castillo, deja de repetir la pregunta. Sí, Francisco, correcto. Okay, a couple more questions here. So let me answer Carlito's question, but don't keep repeating it, Carlito. It's driving everyone mad, and it will drive me mad. Right, my son is one of my derivatives, but he is already old. That is, he does not qualify. Even so, it's an essential requirement to take him to the appointment when he touches me. What do you mean when he touches me? Are you asking if he should, if you should take him? If he's over 21 years old and he's no longer covered by the protections of CSPA, which is around about 6 or 7 months of additional age. So if he's over about 20, 21 and 7 months, if he's over that, he can't be processed on your case, and there's no point and then no need to take him to the interview. There's nothing you can do. And understand you're not going to be able to take him to America, and the options for him to get into America are very limited. So it may be years before you can get him to live with you in America. You need to understand that, because it may change the way you feel about emigrating to America if you can't take your oldest child. You spam us, yeah, that's good. So, Carlito, you see, you pissed everyone off. I didn't realize how bad you did. We got our ready for schedule email in July 2021. We wrote KCC and G ready for scheduling. Claims they haven't received our case. Wow. Probably you've got a high case number. I don't know. It would help if you would make that clear. Rocio, should I ask MC to ask my case? Yeah, a few people have asked me this. The question is, I'm expecting to interview in, I don't know, pick your embassy in Paris. Shall I contact Paris embassy and they ask KCC for the case? Generally, that's not going to help. You can try it. In September, that did help a few people. It's unlikely to help you right now. So there you go. At MVC, yeah, I explained that earlier. Carlito, you've repeated this question so many times, nobody wants to hear from you ever again. Rena, I filled my selected service system in the post office without social number. The social card didn't come at that time. Now it's complete or not. So I thought you did it online, the selected service, but and you're talking about social card. I'm a bit confused what you're asking, really. So to separate the two things, the social security card has got nothing to do with the selective service. You are responsible for filing selective service if you're male under 26 years old, and you do that online, and you can do that. Your social security card, it should arrive 2 or 3 weeks after you arrive in the USA as a green card holder, depending on the option you selected in your DS-260. You can say that you want the government to apply for that for you, or you don't. If you don't, or if you chose the selection that you not want them to do that for you, then you have to go and apply yourself. And if you don't get your SSN quickly, within, let's say, 3 weeks or so, then you can go to the SSA office, SSA, Social Security Administration. You can go there and apply. It's got nothing to do with your green card. It's got nothing to do with your selective service, right? Rabin, a few more questions here. Case number is from Nepal. Do you think everything is finished, or do I have to? I think I've covered that more than capably. Castillo, what's your problem? Castle Rock, you're very welcome. Let's see, documents. Yeah, so Dan, you're asking a question here about. This is going to be interesting this year. The way that KCC have been sending 2NLs over the last month or so has been outside of the norm, right? There would normally be a batch of 2NLs sent just after the VB is released. So the VB was just released. I'm expecting 2NLs to go out within a day or two from now, right? So probably this week. And normally that's the first batch, and then there's a second batch just before the end of the month. But what happened this time is that over the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, up until about a week ago, 2NLs have continued to come out for May interviews. And then they went quiet. There were no more 2NLs, and now they're starting to, the next 2NLs will be for June interviews. So to relate your question to July is when September interviews are scheduled based on the July, on the visa bulletin that's published in July, which is actually called the August visa bulletin, right? And so normally we would expect the last appointments for September interviews to be sent out at the end of July, at the absolute latest. And beyond that, they're moving on to the next lottery period. They're moving on to DV 2022. it will be interesting to see if we see 2NLs continue into August. It has happened before in small numbers, but it may continue this year. I don't know. So, but certainly if you don't have your documents processed by the beginning of July or very early in July, none of that's going to happen. So that's the timeline. So here we are in April, and we've got some people who are still asking me, should I send my documents? So there you go. Wow, Carlito. Oh dear. Sorry if I missed it. You didn't miss any predictions because there are no predictions. Should I unlock my DS260 if I get a new passport? No, Francisco. Take it to the interview. Take the old and new passports to the interview. What if my father won the lottery and his daughter, turning 21 in June? Should I be worried? Figueroa. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I'm screwing up your name badly. Let me just call you Figgy. Figgy, you should be covered. You're turning 21 in June. There's a thing called the Child Status Protection Act, CSPA. I detail it in my blog. You can go and search Google Brit Simon, these words, Brit Simon turning 21, something like that. And it's about, I wrote an article about what people in your father's position can do to protect the child that is about to turn 21. And the reality is that in DV 2021, well, for any lottery, you get about a 6-month protection period after you turn 21, right? So you'll be okay. The embassy may not understand that. You may need to print out some information that's in that article. So definitely go and read the article. What should I do? Not received support department. Oh God. So Marty, you haven't sent your documents, have you? Send your bloody documents. That's what you should do. If you don't send them now, honestly, give up. Forget it, right? If you don't understand what I'm telling you now, if you don't send your documents now, if you don't send your documents in the next few days, just forget it. Move on, because you're too late. You need to do that right now. And really, you should have done that already. Okay. Abdullah, case number is there. 30, sent me documents, didn't get a confirmation. Yeah, contact KCC and ask them how they're doing. Carlito, what a pain in the ass you are. And Dolora Miculo, how do you use this app? I mean Periscope. I have no idea. Don't know how Periscope works, but luckily I use a system that publishes to Periscope. Hi, Simon. Case number is 23K. I've not received the email to send the documents, knowing that I sent my DS in June. Not me. And you haven't sent any documents, have you, Bufusi? If you haven't sent your documents, send your documents. If you don't send your documents for the next week, forget it. Move on. Think about something else. You've got to send your documents. Okay. Don't wait till we ask for your documents. Okay. I love it. I love it. Answer me. Is this app not closed? I don't know what that means. What am I? Periscope support? I don't know. Is it closed? I don't know. I checked into portal. It says that currently case number is at KCC. What does it implicate? It doesn't implicate anything. Everybody's case is at KCC. It's either at KCC or it's at the embassy. It doesn't implicate anything. I enter March 12th. Not received your SS. I think CPP made a mistake. I'm a derivative DV. Okay. Contact USCIS. Make sure that they know about you, and then go to the SSA, the Social Security Administration Office. Okay. That's what you should do. Okay. Carlito, what a pain in the ass you are. You really are. Like, how many times have you sat there and pasted this in? You must know that what you're doing is stupid. What, ridiculous. U.S. consulate in Russia. In light of further diplomatic escalations, and you're absolutely right to question about that, should we relocate a case to another country? You should try, yeah. I think that, Biden has just kicked Moscow's ass, right? And ejected some diplomats. In response, Russia are more than likely going to they're going to eject some consular office staff in Moscow. And I think Chuck Cook referred to this in his video just the other day and said there's going to be, a problem with that. And I think he's absolutely right. There's not going to be the staff to perform interviews. So yeah, it's going to be a problem. If you can get transferred, get transferred. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, I'll answer one more question. We'll choose Carlito. Kidding. Not going to choose Carlito. All right. One more question here. I'm just trying to find a good question. I talked about Ghana earlier, but has Ghana been sanctioned? No, it's not been sanctioned. It's just they've just chosen not to reopen and start working again. I don't know. I don't know why. Oh, look, Carlito's actually responded in a normal human way. He's 22. Okay, well, listen to what I said. Replay it if you didn't understand, Carlito. I did answer your question ages ago. Okay, so that wasn't really a good question. Okay, this is the last question then. So I'm from Bangladesh. Can I apply for DV lottery? Give me some advice, and can I personally contact you? Give me your email or phone number. Right. So the last part, no, I don't give out my email or phone number. I don't work for people personally. I don't take personal cases. I answer questions here in public so that more than one person can benefit from my answers. I don't charge fees. I've got a full-time job, so this is how I prefer to operate. You're from Bangladesh. If you were born in Bangladesh, no, you can't apply for the DV lottery. Bangladesh, like other countries, including my own country, the UK, already receives enough visas through other methods, family-based, employment-based, and that sort of thing, so that they are not considered eligible for the DV lottery. So Bangladesh a few years ago was taken out of the lottery process. I would say there are a few countries that are currently not allowed to go in the lottery process because of the number of visas issued in other visa types. Because of the impact of Trump, frankly, over the last year, that is going to change some things. I don't think it will change for Bangladesh, but there are a few countries that are currently not eligible to enter the lottery that we might start seeing coming back into the lottery in the future. As I say, I don't think that will happen for Bangladesh because Bangladesh's numbers are already very high. The number is 50,000 visas, green cards over the previous 5 years. But there are some countries on the cusp of that, and the damage done by Trump over the last year or so, and COVID as well, may actually change the lottery for a couple of years, and we may see that in the DV 2023 opening phase, or it might be DV 2024, I'm not sure. So that's an interesting topic that we'll talk about some later point. It might give a few more countries a chance to enter the lottery for a couple more years. Okay. All right, everybody, I hope that was helpful and useful. If I didn't answer your question, I'm sorry, but I did address a number of questions in a generic way, so hopefully that benefited to you. Please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, a like. It's all I ask, right? Do that. And if you're wise, you'll subscribe to my channel. I have lots of good information to share. I've been doing this since 2013. I've helped. Somebody asked me the other day if I knew how many people I've helped. It's at least 50,000 people have benefited from my advice and information. At least, I mean, that would be a very low, conservative number. So I feel good about that, and I'm happy to continue. So please subscribe to my channel, let your friends know, and hopefully times will return to normal pretty soon. DV 2022 and lottery results will be announced in, I think it's May 8th. And so you'll see a couple of videos from me, which will be, new videos dealing with DV 2022, and I will start to talk to people about DV 2022, and I will be criticized for forgetting DV 2020 and DV 2021. I know it because it happens every year. I won't have forgotten DV 2020 and DV 2021, but the people in DV 2022 will need my help too. And so I'll be doing some videos that will be specifically for them. All right. Okay, everybody. Thanks then. Have a good day. Cheers now. Bye-bye.